Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Pit Against a live Flushable Call-In Show. I'm joined by my constant co-host Kevin Smurphington. Kevin, what's up?
Yo.
Pit Against is a live call-in show. If you'd like to be live and are talking to us about your take, join the Pit Against Discord by clicking on the link that's in the description, and we put in chat, and then join the waiting room channel. Put your hot take in the topics channel, and we will, if we like your take, we'll put you on for a mic check, and then bring you on air. I guess we want to go ahead and call Taylor. I'd be ready to talk about his.
Yeah, if he's listening, he can hop in and we can start with him.
Heck yeah. Which he probably is listening right now. Any big news happened to you recently? How'd your pre-release go?
Good. They were fun. I enjoyed it. This format is really interesting, and I don't like sealed, and I actually enjoyed playing sealed for once. So
what's your sealed history? You say you don't enjoy sealed.
Pre-releases, a couple Sunday events with like Monarch sealed or Outsider sealed, and then a team sealed event that has happened. And I guess any side events at larger events that are the promo ones, so you play them.
So it's mostly...
I haven't liked past sealed events. It's a couple Monarch, one or two Monarch sealed, a fair amount of Outsiders sealed, some Bright Lights sealed, and then this. No Uprising sealed.
Yeah. But mostly just Flesh and Blood sealed, right? You haven't
entirely
done
Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, so often, at least at my LGS, when we have new sets release at Blade Gaming, in Magic, they do Two-Headed Giant sealed as like their pre-release. Mm-hmm. Well, they'll do a pre-release where they'll have like one that's just like standard sealed and one that's like Two-Headed Giant sealed. And I want to see Two-Headed Giant sealed in Flesh and Blood one of these days. Because it's just fun, right? I mean, if pre-release is everyone just learning the cards for the first time, learning the cards with a teammate and riding or dying with them is, I think, even more fun.
Sure. I think even the team sealed was rough in terms of actually playing the games, because it was like 9 packs between 3 people.
Yeah.
Which means there was like 10 cards out of 100 that weren't played, which sucked.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I guess we'll get into that. Do you want to pull our first caller?
Sure. I'll go grab him.
We're going to do some shout-outs. We're going to do Boston Games followed us. If you don't know who Boston Games is, they they do Fibble? What does Boston Games do? What's their... What's the like trivia, the daily trivia Flesh and Blood app called?
Fabble?
They do Fabble. Boston Games followed us. And I'm pretty sure they're the ones who did Fabble. That was 4 days ago. But we have a caller on the line. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Taylor, and I'm calling from North Carolina.
Ohio. Oh, okay. And what would you and how would you like to stir the pot?
Oh, I'd like to say that Mistveil is either one of the best steps forward in Flesh and Blood or a huge step back, and we won't know until a couple of months or years.
That's very interesting. Do you want to elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, I think that the power level of the set is definitely rising from the last 3 sets that we have seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in a good way or bad way, we do not know, but we do know that it is pushing heroes out and into the meta, and it's also making heroes that are fun irrelevant due to the fact that they are not playing an unfair game, such as Guardian as of right now and stuff like that. So, what'd that look for?
So, keep going. I'm listening.
No.
So when it comes to unfair, I did just play before the start of this stream a game as new, which is one of the new heroes from Part the Mistveil, against a really old hero called Prism. No comma, no title, just young Prism. That game was short, and it was not in my favor.
Exactly.
So you lost to an LL'd hero?
She's not LL'd. Perfectly legal in Blitz.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, my
Okay.
point being is clearly Nu's not that strong.
I do not think that Nu is that strong. I think she's the
okay.
weakest of the three.
Yep. I
But
agree.
but she gatekeeps a lot of other stuff. That's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, she's what? Is she the least? No, she's probably middle of the three for how much she gatekeeps.
Yeah.
It's like Zen gatekeeps a little bit from how much damage she does. Enigma just stat checks everyone, and then Nu is like you can have X many good blues in your deck, otherwise you're toast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
like
it's interesting grading heroes on their level of gatekeepiness.
well,
Toxic flesh and
Enigma
blood as usual. Go ahead.
Enigma is very gatekeeping. That is the most gatekeepy card since Icelander, I believe.
Ooh. That's interesting.
At least
Gatekeep
since
cards in
Icelander.
Yeah. Well, the thing about her too is that she doesn't her play lines don't seem unfair because technically to beat her you have to beat your face in. I mean her face
Yeah.
in. But the
Yeah.
issue is if you have one turn off where you're like, oh,
Yep.
small damage pass, you just
Snowball.
capitalize on it and you're just dead.
Yep.
I have seen in team testing multiple KOs get 40-0'd by her because they misstep one, oh, I'll wild ride. Oh no, I'll discard a cast bones. It doesn't have go again. She'll
Yep.
go, okay, cool. I'll take 6 on my
Yep.
turn. I'll build a small army pass, and then they can never just catch back up.
So
Yep.
is the death? It's interesting you word it that way in the playstyle or whatever. Is it like it sounds like it's at the mercy of its opponent?
Yes, I believe that. I think that if you kind of have a
Essentially.
off turn, she can punish that. So I think heroes like anything that can go long chain links, dash, ninja, do
Yep.
keep her in check, which is great because something needs to keep her in check. Because if you had a meta of assassins and guardians, I think she would be the litmus test of what the meta is like.
How does she do into other?
She is almost, anyways.
How does she do into other setup decks like other dash and well, not other dash, but like defensive
I
dash,
assume
Teklavos, and
I assume she stumps them.
yeah. God
Yeah,
dang.
I assume like Dashio is probably a harder matchup, but like
Yep.
if you know how to play it, you might be able to try to fatigue them, possibly.
Especially like instant
Potentially,
speed.
You're
Blocking
a little light
basically.
on armor
Yeah.
as Enigma. So that can get a little bit tricky, but you also get to block breakpoints really well anyways.
Yeah.
So maybe not it's weird.
Yeah,
That one's a
exactly.
little weird.
But like imagine her going into Arachne just has to be like
Free.
Dromai
Yeah.
esque. And then you'll have
Yeah.
somebody beat them on stream and then they'll grab their deck and get DQ'd from the tournament like that one time. Such a niche interaction there.
To go back to your topic, this is going to be the best or the worst set. Is this in all aspects? I guess we were just talking about CC, and we can keep talking about CC. What are the like expected outcomes, like the highs and lows that this set could bring about? Like where does this this polarizing possibilities of the future come from? Like what are we looking at?
We know that they're trying to implement variants into game plans.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Enigma is a great hero to look at that. She creates a polarized metagame around her. Either you can go the distance or you can't. And Nu's the same way. Nu is very good into Guardian decks, as we've mentioned. Good into Teklovasin, good into Zen. Decks that don't scale well with smaller hand sizes. because like
Yep.
because in some matchups she doesn't have a hero ability, and her hero ability is literally Mask of Reoccurring Nightmares.
Yep.
That's a really good card, though.
Yes, it is. I
God
think that
dang.
card is insane. But she's also kept in check by warriors, which is fantastic. Have you played the new Kasai matchup? Holy smokes, that matchup seems rough for new.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, it's
Do
like,
they run blues at all, like in the Kasai matchup?
None that New wants to play.
I guess
Yeah.
that's true.
and it's not even that though. It's like, oh, you ripped a card from my hand. Oh, I still have a 2 cards, 8, 9 because of
Yeah.
Dynamos.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you have Beckoning Mistblade. Well, I have Dynamos.
Block with
Oh my
Dynamos.
god. It-
Oh.
Doesn't have piercing.
yeah.
Oh, it doesn't
so
have piercing. Oh
no.
my
No.
gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So
it's funny because we were listening to a few months ago Warriors being like, our decks feel kind of good after heavy hitters. Still sucks we got no good blues. And now it's like,
That's a benefit.
interesting.
Yeah, like
This
new.
weird silver lining.
In pre-release against new, I
Yeah.
literally played my matchup, and I actually pulled in my sealed levels of enlightenment. I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna cut that in this one matchup. That sucks.
Yep.
I was like, because I don't want her
Same.
having that because she'll just all 3 modes. You're like, oh
She uses
no.
it better.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, please
Yeah.
don't. No, but like I think that these heroes are very polarizing. I think their matchup spread is a lot more varied than like the heavy hitters one. Like if you look at like
Yes.
the best win, just looking at February statistics. I mean, it's not. I mean, this is open queue stuff. You can see that New has an 80% win rate into Betsy, and a 29% win rate into Kasai. But then you go look at like a hero like Victor, and it's just like his best matchup is 75, worst one is 42.
So
So
it's interesting we're talking about how like we're kind of heading in a new direction of Fab where we're ramping up card quality. We're ramping up power in the game, but in a more variance kind of way. Whereas previously power in older metas was like consistency, right?
Yeah.
Chain won because he did the same thing every game, which is win the game.
Well,
Draw 50
all
cards,
of-
win the game.
All of your cards were the same power level
Yeah.
in those decks.
Yeah.
And here, for these heroes, you have your power in a few key cards that just absolutely are insanely above rate.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
then, like, I think most of the Enigma builds are going to have a single Mystic Illusionist rare or common in it, like a single
believe that.
playset.
Waning Spectre.
Waxing Spectre.
That was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
think
actually
Enigma's
play
only going to
Enigmas,
run
though.
that card out of the rares and commons. And then they run the Majestics, and then they run Old Illusionist stuff because Spectre's still busted.
So does that mean their gameplay will be a higher variance, or are they just going to rely on some older
Their
cards?
win rate is going to be higher variance. So like
Yeah.
they're
Yes.
like there's not going to be too many heroes that are like 55 60 to the 45 40. It's going to be more like the 75 to 25% win rate, which is fine. It just causes a lot more I sit down and I've already lost the game kind of feels, which is what I don't like.
Yep.
That's interesting. So with higher variance over consistency, what are ranges? Like we're talking about or I guess did you just say it?
Yeah.
You sit down on a matchup and it ends up being like
25, 75. That's miserable. That's not fun for me or the person I'm playing against.
Well, no, I mean
if that for
from
some of these matchups.
From like a variance standpoint, right? So like your deck doesn't always hit on all cylinders every single turn. Does that change variance? Does variance affect win rate in that way? Like you sit down and it's like, let's say there's a hypothetical 50-50 matchup with these more high variance than we're used to decks. Is it 50-50 because roughly over 100 games it'd be 50-50? However, it snowballs in one direction or the other in a lot of those games.
It's going to depend on the matchup.
I guess so.
Yeah, it's matchup dependent. But like
Enigma's going to have some 75-25s, and they're going to look very consistent because turn after turn, it's block 3 cards, swing Mirror Guy is your game plan. And then she's going to have some other matchups where it's like, oh, KO just hit the nuts and I die, or I hit the nuts and I never take damage.
Or you see,
but that's probably much closer to 50-50 than it looks, because all of the games look like slaughters probably.
Does it
agreed.
Does it also maybe feel like Saber's Bolton, where it's like my 3 Mirror Guys were in the bottom 10 cards of my deck? Does that affect the game sometimes? Like you just lose a game because it happens?
I believe so. Yeah.
God dang. This is interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So what are expected like positives and negatives from this in the future, right? So like we know what a really strong, consistent meta feels like.
Yeah.
We kind of know what a fairly weak yet consistent meta looks like. But this, and kind of a weak high variance meta a little bit. But now we're moving into like stronger high variance.
I think it's good for casual players, because they will be able to spike armories against, oh, well, Joe Schmo over here has played on the Pro Tour, and I just beat him by Scabs, cast bones, Arsenal Blood Rush pass, and he just couldn't come back from it. And you know what? That's fine, and that's great. From a competitive standpoint, of course, it is a little bit more annoying to play heroes that have these crazy ranges, where like, oh, I'm going to play this, but I only hope to dodge Guardian today. That's annoying.
Go ahead.
Oh, like Icelander was like one of the best decks ever, because Icelander literally could not sit in front of a hero and go, oh, I lose this. Icelander was just like, yeah, I can probably make this work. I'll figure out how.
It's
Lexi was like the worst, and it was still like 35, 40 into it. Like,
and you can skill gap most Lexis.
It's interesting what you're saying about how you just auto lose to certain matchups, because I was talking to somebody who their hero is Teklo-Vossen. They just like Teklo-Vossen. And they're like, I'm actually not considering the AB equipment at all. The idea being dodge Kano. Like, I'd rather have the sideboard slots for somebody else.
That's understandable.
Now, dodge Kano is a huge ask, but like, if it makes your other matchups better, like, I mean, that is a strategy. You could do something like that. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know how much Taylor specifically has watched Professional Magic the Gathering, but there's been some tournaments where people just pick a deck that automatically loses to like 2 or 3 decks in the meta, and then they never run into them all the way to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Kano players.
Yeah.
I guess that is true.
Dab.
What if just the Teklo-Vossen that won your PQ?
Yes.
Hey, I was there.
He just hit 3 victors in top 8.
Yeah,
like,
dude, I was on Katsu, and he's sitting beside me, and I was like, why can't I play you?
Just one table over, please.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. Gym luck.
It's actually really funny you mentioned that, because round 1, he was actually played against Akatsu, someone on my team, and got 0-40'd. And then went on to win.
I love that.
I was like, man.
That's what he's using the 4 sideboard slots for, not the AB equipment. He's just putting all his points into gym luck.
I mean, that's kind of like, there's certain heroes you play that just go with gym luck. I mean, that's okay.
Now, how does it feel if like
every hero in this meta?
I was about to say, what if it feels like that's every hero in the meta?
I don't know. I feel like you could bring KO and reasonably say, yeah, I'm probably 40% at worst into something.
Yeah, KO is the ultimate of this meta.
Yeah, like, but the thing is about him is that sometimes he can just lose you games. He can just he can just poop the bed very hard, and you just go, well, I literally cannot. Wild Ride draws Blood Rush. Okay, well, let's not pick that one. Picks Blood Rush. Well, okay. I just took 21 damage to do 6 and pass while losing a card out of my deck.
I'm a tangent a little bit. When you draw a card off of Wild Ride, do you look at it, or do you just shuffle the hand and present it to your
Every time.
Really?
And then I tell my opponent how many misses they are. I like to assert the dominance.
I hate all of that. I do the exact
Sometimes,
opposite.
like at armories with the guys, I'll have 4 cards in, and I'll be like, well, 3 of them are misses, so please don't do it. And they're like, there's no way. I'm like, oh no, just do it.
No, there is a way.
And they're all not misses and stuff, and they're like, oh my god. I'm like, wow, I got really lucky there. Thanks.
No,
It's
I
like,
present my hand face down, and then I just pick a card off the top of the deck and put it with the rest of the hand.
dude, that
No,
I would be
no,
so
no.
anxious. I would be so anxious, just like, oh my god, what is it? Was it a blood rush? Like,
Funny.
but yeah, no, like look at KO. KO is probably the most stable deck there is right now in the meta, and that's why he's probably top 3 deck right now. I think he's been dethroned since Mistveil, but he's
Mhm.
just consistently good. He has the potential to high roll your opponent no matter. Oh well, I'm playing against Kasai, which is my bad matchup. Anyway, double cast bones, blood rush bellows. You can't block 46
Sash.
damage. Yeah. Oh no, my wild ride into wild ride into wild ride into swing big on blood rush turn. Good game, buddy.
So
Oopsies.
I feel like we've been talking about this in a positive light. What's like the nightmare scenario?
I go to Nats. I sit down round 1, and my opponent goes, Kindle, holding priority, Kindle, and I go, okay, cool. I will go home.
Well, I mean, not for you. I mean, it's a nightmare scenario for the meta, right? So, like,
I just said it.
Oh, sure. Well, okay. So, if
I mean,
everyone's high variance, then everyone just starts playing pitch stack KO
No,
Kano
it's
or
it's more the
No.
fact that
Kano.
like you can be the best player in the room,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have the advantage that you used to when you go into a room with this type of meta, because you can just get into a matchup that is an impossible matchup, or you can just get high roll by Joe Schmo that just, oh, it's my first tournament ever, and he does the thing, and that's okay. But like competitive players, I guarantee you Michael Hamilton doesn't like this meta as much as he liked Icelander. I promise you.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing is like, so these like really top players are sweating a little bit more, and they have to adapt. They have to, you
That
know.
is true. So how much is too much, right? So, like, I think we've talked about this before. I can't remember the answer. How many losses to variance? Like full losses to variance, like KO loses you a matchup and you run into a Kano who just draws the nets. How many of those in, let's say, Pro Tour do you feel like is fine?
So 8 CC matches. I think if variance gets more than 3, I should probably go to another card game,
Whoa.
because
That
then
I mean that's 3 out of
then
5. Yeah. Or
yeah,
3 out of 8.
yeah, because then I should
Yeah.
just go play something else that
Yeah.
like look at Magic. Magic, you can have a great round 1 game 1, but there are more games played sideboarded than there are mainboarded. In this
Yeah.
game, it doesn't really work like that. You kind of just have this 80 and you just hope that it's good for whatever matches you get paired into.
So
Yeah,
go
I
ahead.
don't want to take a deck to a tournament like an 8 rounds of CC at Nats or PT. I don't want to take a deck that I think is going to give me more than one raw variance loss.
Mhm.
That's so funny. I'm actually the opposite. I think if I was going to play at Nats,
He's
I think I'd want
gambling.
I think I would want the highest rolled potential deck, and then at the
The
calling,
highest chance
yeah,
to go 8-0.
yeah, and then at a calling, I would want the consistent deck because of 14
Sure.
rounds.
True. Okay. So, like, let's say
'Cause-
you win 2 games off of high variance, you win 4 games off of being better, and
Yeah,
then maybe you lose a game or 2
yeah,
to high variance.
yeah. That's fine.
But if your
Confirmed.
best odds of winning the tournament are going 8-0 in CC and X2 in draft, like
Well, that
Oh,
that's
leads
your
that leads to my next point, which is I think top 8 needs to be more celebrated. Probably top 16 needs to be more celebrated.
If I'm in top 8, I
Yeah.
completely agree. If I'm not, I don't know.
No, I
Sure.
think like people should like I think it should be celebrated to the point where it's like you get top 16 I don't know, at a calling, and that should be on your like
Your
Twitter
resume.
profile. Yeah, it should be on your resume.
For a lot of people, it is.
Well, I know it is, but it should be like in the.
So
Go ahead.
So we need to cut to top 16 for that because we don't see 9 through 16.
I guess that's
Even
true.
if people put it on their Twitter, like we don't do anything for top 16 that we wouldn't do for top 8. Like
I
there's
guess
just
that's true.
nothing extra in terms of like the way we do it. If we want to cut the top 16, I'm down for that.
How logistically possible is cut to top 16?
It'd be easy.
Really?
Depends on the event, but shouldn't be hard.
Nah, because like the hardest thing would be the logistics of the stream.
Cut to
But
top
then
64.
But then you
No.
could just do like, oh, instead of doing like one match for everything, you just do like one match for the round of 16, one match for the round of 8, and then you do the next 3. So
Semis, finals.
yeah, and I mean that would logistically be fine, and I don't think it would be.
But that's 5 games on air as opposed to
7.
7.
You could do like
There's
that
there's a
cute little
world
side
where
match.
Pro
they do.
Tour and Worlds, I could totally see
Yeah.
that happening. I would love that actually.
you could run 2 games on
Yeah.
stream, a feature match and a backup match for both top 16 and top 8 rounds.
That'd be perfect.
And then sequential top
And then
4s.
Michael Hamilton would be the person in top 8 who doesn't get their round aired, and then everyone throws a fit.
There ain't no way. There ain't no way that it'll be like, oh, Hamilton, put. We don't want to know what's happening to Hamilton.
Or you get like a top 8 that has like Michael Fung, Michael Hamilton, Brody, and Mara, and they're all in a different game. And then it's like, frick, who do we put on camera? God dang it.
Not Brody.
Not Brody.
If you do
would be
that,
the consensus.
you put like the group that's just like the 2 people that first time ever top 16 or 8 the calling, because that's way more important to them than it is these other people.
Yeah,
True.
that's a good point actually.
Like,
yeah,
oh,
okay,
wow,
perfect. We have solved it. I'm going to ship this to LSS right now. Top 16 for at least Pro Tour and Worlds.
Especially Worlds.
So I'm gonna go back a little bit. We were talking about high variance in this format. Do we feel okay? And we were also talking about Magic the Gathering and how they play more sideboard games than they play not sideboard games. So you kind of, right? You know, if you're me, you play one game and then you get mad and then you scoop and you just go to your next game entirely. Like not even game 2, game 3. You just go to the next player. So how much variance in this meta do you think sideboards can cause? Right? Can you just sideboard better?
I think that in this game, sideboarding isn't as it isn't as good or as critical as Magic's, which is a downside. I mean, outside of AB in Oasis.
Sure. Is that just because there's less like silver bullet cards?
Yeah. I mean, there's Warmongers, I guess, that you could put in your sideboard. But like, what? Like, I guess you could justify unmovables for Bravo, but that's not. Yeah.
Not even really. Like, there were tons of decks that just got away with it. Like, would just beat Bravo without them.
Exactly. So.
Like, it was only Starvo that you needed it for, and that's because it was just like, it was every turn. It was not a couple particular turns.
Boo, Starvo, boo.
There was a time where rainbow foiled red unmovable was $12.
What is it now?
Definitely not $12.
Really? I mean, that's kind of disheartening.
Well, the ebb and flow of time and something, I don't know. So we talked a lot about CC. And I feel like I have a better grasp on where we're at, but I also feel like I have a better grasp on what I need, what direction I need to be looking for the game to be going in over these next couple of months, like you were talking about. What do you feel about sealed limited draft for this set?
I'm only like 15 drafts in. It's really good. It's complicated as can be, which is great. Like when you sit down and play against your opponent at Nats, you can definitely tell who's been drafting and who hasn't.
Rainbow foil, unlimited, unmovable, red, $1.50.
Oh, wow. The mighty have fallen.
The mighty being Starvo. So you're not that far into the draft, but how do you feel this draft? I mean, everyone had a lot of positive. I've heard only positive things from pre-release, and I
Yeah.
know I've only heard positive things from draft in the limited quantities I've heard people have been doing, online
Almost
or wherever.
entirely positive. I've seen some negative, but
I
it's the people who never like draft.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you think this is going to affect the future of draft sets of Flesh and Blood?
I
Like-
think it's a great draft set.
Like, what's being done right that wasn't being done? Because there's a lot of people who don't like draft.
All three heroes feel correct. Like you could pick them, and you're like, yeah, this is like.
Yep.
It's hard to explain. It's most sets I play, I'm like, oh, this is clearly the better hero. Unless I have this exact pool, then this hero is better. In this set, literally, I can sit down and stay open for 4 to 5 picks, and I get told from the table what I am, and it is correct.
Is it you don't? So I know in heavy hitters, you never wanted to be the third guardian.
Exactly.
Is there a hero in this set you don't want to be the third of, or are you comfortable probably being the third of any hero as long as you're not the fourth?
I don't think you want to be the third.
I think if you say you don't want to be the
Third
third
Zen?
of
Okay.
all three of them, I think that would also.
I mean,
feel
you want to be the
fine.
two of. You want to be the two of.
Yeah.
It is.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
but if you were the third KO or the third brute, you felt much better than if you were the third guardian.
yeah.
I think it's then because your power cards are away, so you're doing like 2 into 3 into 2 into 1.
Sure.
While like Enigma, like if you're playing against the 2 of Enigma or something, they can easily, ward you out, block correctly, and still have a good turn, and then News will just eat you alive. While the 3 of Enigma can still beat News, even a 2 of New, just because like how the matchup works, and if you can outplay your opponent. And then Enigma's, it's a big triangle. Zen beats Enigma, Enigma beats New, and vice versa. So yeah, like I think Zen is probably the worst third pick in there.
Which is still really good to hear out of a draft set.
Yeah, I like the draft set. I think it's really skill based and really good. Drafting it is actually harder than playing the games, I feel.
I can't even wrap my head around how you're supposed to be drafting this right now.
That makes
Holy
sense.
frick.
Like I know I went to a draft camp and one of my buddies, and he's Anthony Vero, he's like 75 drafts in, and he's like,
Jeez.
yeah. You can just, he's in the Runaway Discord 24/7.
Yeah.
And I watched him draft, and he didn't pick his hero until like pick 7. I was like, because he was like, oh,
King.
Mystic Blue block 3. Oh, Bastion.
Check.
Oh, Mystic Blue block 3. Oh, a good Transcend. And then I was like,
Check.
and then he got past like a red Bittering, and he's like, okay, I'm on Zen. This is the signal I needed. And then he just moved in, and it was, I mean, he 3-0'd the pod.
I love that.
Yeah, so
we're still having, I assume, the same issues we've had in other draft sets where pack 2 and 3 feel pretty on rails, I assume.
No, because you can kind of wheel cards, because like you can pick between your class red or like a Bastion, and you can kind of have decisions where you go, will this will, and then you have to go, how many Zen players do I think are at the table? Okay, there's 3 ninja cards in this pack, and there's a Bastion. Is someone going to actually hate draft this Untamed? No, they wouldn't. So you have to go, I can take this Bastion, and I'm gonna get this, let's say red Chi or blue Chi, pouncing, which is a blue block 3 combo card. So he's like, okay, so it's not on rails because you actually get them to make the decisions on the first will that will affect the whole draft.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So like good draft readers, I know T's a really good draft reader. Every time I've ever drafted with him, he can kind of predict what everyone's playing this would be a great
Yeah.
draft set for him.
The
because
first
he
Flesh
can
of
kinda
Blood
read-
draft I did, he stood up after the end of the draft. This was like an armory. Everyone was like chatting throughout the draft, and it was like super chill. And then afterwards, he goes, "I will now announce what everyone is playing." And then he went around and he
Yeah.
announced who everyone was playing correctly, including the fact that I think we had 3 people side by side all playing the same hero.
Yeah.
It's just really funny.
Yeah, so he
Yeah.
he's gonna be really good in pack 2 and pack 3 because he can kind of predict wheels and kind of determine
Yeah.
once he sees like the first 8 packs, he can pretty much determine what he's gonna get back.
That's
Pretty well.
crazy. I love that.
Yeah, so like, and the good thing is, I think this is one of those drafts that like you want to be 4-0 in CC at Nats, because like if you're playing with Hamilton and Fang and those guys, they're gonna tell you what to do. Like
Yeah.
they like this is a set that if you can read packs, they can
Yep.
definitely like instruct you on how to play your seat, and not punish them nor you.
Yeah. The signal sending in this set looks very, very important. And then
Yeah.
the people who know how to do that well, also with people who know how to read them well, is going to make for very good feature drafts.
Okay.
Yes.
So, this said, is this a flash in the pan, or have LSS created an algorithm for how to make a draft? Right?
Algorithm?
Like, do we see this quality of draft in the next set?
Depends on the talents and classes of the set, and because like I think Bright Lights was a great draft set.
Yes.
But the set itself was awful. But the draft environment,
constructed.
yeah, I'm a constructed-minded person, so it's like, oh,
Yeah.
but drafting it, fantastic, home
Yeah.
run,
Loved
awesome.
it.
But that's because it was mono class, and this is mono talent. So there's definitely a theme that if they do a mono base something, it's probably gonna be better than, oh, here's Ice Wizard, Draconic Illusionist, Draconic Ninja. Like, is there a fourth hero here? Like whenever I remember releasing, I was like, oh, there's a fourth Uprising. No, we just have one wild class that makes no sense.
Well, how would Tails feel if they remade like a double talent system that's like split across heroes? Would that fit more under this set's going to be on rails or expression?
I would guess expression because of the way they lined it up, where it's like there's 2 Earth heroes, 2 Lightning heroes, 2 Ice heroes, and it's like you get to be a lot more like it's because everything can play elemental, and it's like what it's at least half the pack is playable for you.
Yeah.
Once you're in a class, even like I think they can do those as long as there's like the double talent overlap type stuff for all the heroes, not just 2 Draconic and then 1 elemental. Then I think they could do that pretty well again. And I think Tails is still cited as some people's favorite limited format.
It's mine
because of that.
I'm a little biased because that was my first draft
It's not
format.
WTR.
It's so close, right? Well, here's
monogeneric.
Here's the actual problem: is I'd probably say they're all my favorite. I've had a lot of fun, and everyone shut up. I've had a lot of fun playing Arcane Rising Draft too. Yes.
Oh, you're a psycho.
Yeah, he is.
That's nice.
Love limited, and I also think it has to be the future of Flesh and Blood as all TCGs. But I do think Tails is amazing. I'd be really excited for them to do another draft set like that.
Come on.
So I mean, when we talked about it originally, or your original take about how this could be the best or worst direction of the game, I assume you were mostly talking about CC. You weren't talking about draft, right?
Yeah, draft, they've absolutely killed it and did a great job, I think.
It's kind of awesome.
I think they are learning. Every set is improving from the last set.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we don't get any more. Oh, man, I don't even. What is the worst draft set? The more I think about it,
it's Arcane Rising.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it not Arcane?
It has to be Arcane, right?
Yeah, I always like hearing stories about that set too. They're like, well, technically, there was supposed to be an assassin in the set. I'm like, really?
Yeah, there was just problems with that set. And I mean, it was their second set, and they were trying to do things like add in arcane damage, add in the concept of brick, add
That is
in, I don't know. It was mostly arcane. They were just trying to shove arcane into a set, and it just got wonky. And then when assassin didn't feel like an assassin, they were like, well, we can slap together ranger because no one's gonna give a frick about that anyways.
True.
Hey.
So
At the time.
at the
I
time,
mean, to be fair, the set did have a theme, which is the top of your deck.
that was
Yes.
cool. The opt theme was super awesome, actually.
Boost. I think Viscerai was Runeblade was the only one that kind of didn't.
I think it actually did though. Hold on. It didn't seem like it because the cards aren't CC playable. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of cards that like reveal a top card if it's a Rune Blade attack.
Yeah,
okay.
it did have a few of those in the set.
Yeah.
And
were
also
mixed
it
in.
was like there was some things where, like, let's say you opt away, like let's say you could opt to at some point in the game. Like if you played the non-attack action that allows you to opt multiple cards at higher colors, you could effectively, like, you look at the top two cards of their deck, they're both attacks. Maybe you sink one. So then you're more likely to get non-attacks for synergies. That is just the absolute cutest Gordon pose I've ever seen in my entire life. Holy frick.
That is so cute.
So no, I think the whole thing is really nice. I've played against a group of people who were just clowning around, and I chose Ranger because no one picked anything Ranger because of the precedent around Rangers, and then I was able to completely take over the entire draft, even as not playing Viscerai. But then I've also played an actual draft of Arcane Rising where it was just like 6 people picked Viscerai. The best Viscerai won. Anybody who didn't pick Viscerai lost. Because it was just like fatigue the piss out of them.
Yeah, like my dream is that they bring it back for a pro tour as like a retro pro tour, and I just pack one, pick one, pure fire. I mean, chamber, and I'm just like, good game,
Well,
boys.
okay, yeah. That's a little different. The only time, the only thing contesting Viscerai is chamber, which is the funniest thing. Is a majestic.
You start licking your lips. You're like,
right.
oh.
Yeah. Your luck is you'll get a pack 1 pick or pack 3 pick 1, which would be very funny.
Is chamber a bigger bomb than Mirror Guy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I
think so.
I haven't played enough MST draft, and I argue I still haven't played enough Arcane Rising draft, nor do I really feel like going back to it after saying I like it a lot.
What's the biggest bomb in draft then? Like in any draft?
In any draft? Winner's Whale?
Probably Storm Striders, right?
Storm Striders? Storm Striders is
Legendaries were
good.
legal.
Legendaries were legal. Holy frick.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh, okay, I'm sorry about this dash. Kill you.
Yeah.
Rosetta Thorn? No, I'm just kidding.
You actually have me thinking.
That's a really good question.
Is it CMH?
Maybe. I mean,
no.
Not bad though.
It's CMH and Oldham.
I think it.
Maybe.
Hold on. Now you make me look at like legendaries from the earlier sets and make me go, "Is this busted?"
Because it was what Heart of Ice was one of the big ones.
Oh yeah, that's
because it gave you actual AB against Briar.
Man,
Striders is probably up there.
I'd assume Striders are just mean.
Tunic, tech plating.
Carrion Husk?
Carrion Husk, yeah. Okay.
Okay, that one's pretty good.
Ooh, Doom. No. I was gonna say Doom.
Footsteps?
Carrion Husk is such
Crown
a bomb.
of Steeds?
Crown of...
Well, actually, no, because you couldn't really utilize it that well.
Luminar.
Yeah, if you have Crown of Seeds and Rampart, yeah.
Oh, never mind. Guys, we are so goofy. Do you know what it is? It's Luminaris. OG Luminaris. If you pack one, pick one that, you can build your whole deck to be around it.
Yeah, you just make a Blitz deck.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, God dang. Yeah, you know what? The variance nowadays is so much higher than it used to be.
That was good. That was good.
I do think what's interesting is draft has gotten more consistent and CC has gotten less consistent.
No,
and
CC is more consistent.
Is it more consistent?
If you're talking from like Monarch Tales time, I think CC is more consistent.
Yeah. Okay. This is
because like it got more consistent with Icelander and Uprising meta.
Yeah.
And then it was even more consistent after Outsiders because that's Lexi Oldham meta. And then after that is Heavy Hitters meta, which is pretty darn consistent.
Yeah.
So like I think it is more consistent at least than it was Tales Monarch Everfest time frame, where it was just like, does Starvo have Awakening or not?
Oh,
does Prism just double aura you on turn 0?
Casino was definitely crazy. Oh yeah, jeez, man, I can't believe I played through that. I can't believe I played Viscerai through that, and I wasn't even running Skalata.
Does Viscerai hit Mordred become on turn 0?
Yeah,
I miss Skalata.
What a time to be alive.
Does Skalata hit 3 cards or 7?
I should call her.
Holy frick. Oh man. All right. I think that's all I was going to cover on this topic. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about in it?
No, that was awesome. I had a great time.
Thank you so much for the call. Do you have anything you want to shout out?
The homeboys in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and
Let's
some in
go.
Charlotte.
Let's go.
Oh, will either you be at Nats, or are you guys staying home?
I feel like at least one of us will be at Nationals.
Okay. Can I get a hint on what you're playing?
I'm gonna be playing probably Nachos.
I'll let you know when I figure it out.
I'm gonna enjoy watching both of you on TV. Right?
You sure?
On stream.
That'd be nice.
I am bringing a high variance deck, so I'll either win Nats or be in the calling. There's no in between with this.
I know a deck I'd want to bring if I was going.
Which is?
It's a secret.
Bravo.
I like that.
It's Tank Bravo, and he's gonna he's gonna dodge all the enigmas.
It's gonna be the week before. I'm gonna call Charles Dunn and I'm gonna ask for a deck list and I'm gonna pay him for it.
And he's gonna give you Decimator Dory.
And he's gonna give me Decimator Dory, and I'll not have those cards, and then.
And Allison won't give you the cards because they're evil.
Yeah, on a moral standpoint, she won't give me those cards.
I'm really excited for this Nats because everybody I've talked to has told me that they have the best deck, and like it's like 7 different decks.
These are the best tournaments where everyone's like the new meta's come out, and like everyone's like, I have it all figured out. I have the perfect deck for this meta. I'm so excited. Holy frick.
And then I'll look down at my deck and it's like different than the other 6, and I'm like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Everybody's tier lists are all completely different.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like me and Nathan actually talked about it, and he put like Kano in A tier, and I was like, do you see something I don't? I was like, what's your expected like representation of Enigma? He's like, oh, I don't know, 7-8%. I'm like, I'm thinking like 20.
I was thinking like 22.
15.
Yeah, I'm thinking like,
it's
gonna be a good amount.
It has to be double digits, and I feel like it's closer to 20.
That's my thought.
Out of 500 players, I think there will be at least 60.
I think there's a lot of people who were like, okay, so back when Prism was a thing, we learned that there's a part of the population that just is playing Illusionist. Good at it or not, tested it or not, whether it's good or not, they're just going to play Illusionist. Yeah, continued on to Dromai, went to Prism. Prism's too hard. We're going to Enigma now, which may or may not be harder, but at the least, I think the floor is higher. At the least, right? Or lower. The floor is lower.
I think it depends on which side of OG Prism you played, because in my opinion, OG Prism split into 2 decks.
Yeah.
Like we have the Enigma, which is the Spectra,
Or control.
Board
yeah,
control.
or control, and then you have the Herald aggro. The old towards the end of Prism's life, she played Tunic and was like Tunic or Tune you, beat you in the face kind of deck, and that's where the new Prism's at. So it depends on what
Yep.
kind of Prism you used to play, is what
Well, I
kind of
guess
deck you're
the
drawn
only
into.
ones I felt like I was watching on TV were the board state ones. So
Well, that's a sign for Nats then.
Because Starvo.
yeah. Maybe it's just the. I mean, how does Frick? Who are we talking about? How does Kano play into Prism? New Prism.
Badly.
He doesn't.
Okay, so he does bad into both of them, eh?
People are figuring stuff out for Kano
Yeah.
versus Enigma.
I've been told that it's not as doomer as you think it is. It's not good, but your Enigma opponent has to reveal like AB3, or you can just, oh, I'll attack with a Spectra, and you're like, in response, do some arcane damage to you. You lose your action point, and I get to do some shenanigans.
Even on AB3, it gets very tricky actually for the Enigma player to keep their board. Just because if the Kano player plays the turn cycle properly, it's really like the Enigma. If whoever knows that matchup better wins it.
I agree.
That's crazy.
Like I don't know who is favored between them. It is just everyone is still figuring it out.
So how high is the? Or I guess it's just interesting. We were talking about Nathan's list, right? And so, or Nathan's tier list, and it's like if Kano's A tier, what percentage of illusionists are going to be there?
I wish I knew.
20%.
I would
plus
make it. I would make a better meta call.
Frick.
I don't know. I expect like I've set my team like my top 7 most expected heroes. You know, like these are the 7 heroes I think we should prep for. I kind of have Dory and Kasai in the same spot because I think they're almost like essentially the same hero in my mind. The way that I play, they're the same hero. Because I play, aggro decks.
Yep.
So it's just like, we'll have this. Like I think Azalea is going to have a big breakout tournament. She's probably going to be 2nd or 3rd most represented. Wow. I fully expect Kano, Enigma, Azalea as my top 3 in that order.
That's crazy.
Interesting. In that order.
Yeah.
You think Kano's the most represented?
No, KO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Okay.
All on the same page. Woo.
I like the moment there where we're like, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page for those top 3 in that order. I think Zen might be 4th.
I don't.
And then
Zen's weird because, in my opinion, I've played a lot of Zen. I was trying to get ready for Nats. I was like, maybe this is my deck. And then everyone's like, it's really good. It's really good. And then you play it, and it's kind of like a worse version of Katsu. And then you go, have people never played Katsu before? Because like I played Katsu for. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But like I played Katsu for a long time, and then I play this deck. I'm like, this is just different Katsu. What is everyone talking about? Has no one like experienced like a quad bonds turn? They're like, oh my god, he can do it. I'm like, we've been able to do this for the last year and a half, and no one said anything. This is the thing that breaks the camel's back. Can we get to make a tiger?
So well, 1, I don't know how well a camel can support a tiger's weight, but also 2, let's say you're playing a ninja. Do you play the better ninja, or do you play the more comfortable ninja you're on right now? If they're so similar.
I think you play the better one, and the better one is dependent on which heroes you're going to play against.
Yeah. Like if I'm playing against Victor, I want to be on Zen. If I'm playing against Azalea, I want to be on Katsu.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just like it's literally dependent on what I'm expecting. I think they both have the same matchup into Prism, into Brutes.
Yep.
Maybe.
Do you think it would be that hard for you specifically to pick up Zen? Like, is it? Like, I know there's a lot of different ways you can play Katsu and ruin your game, and so it takes people a while to like learn play patterns and what to fetch when and how to block.
Right.
It also depends on the tournament, because I believe that Katsu is a deck that is its strength is giving your opponent options when there actually is no options.
Yep.
Like, hey, do you want to block this surging or not? But in reality, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna blow
I have
Yeah.
I have Gustwave Bonds. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
That's
But
funny.
but the illusion that it matters is what makes
Yeah.
Katsu strong. Katsu's trigger is often a lot weaker, but the threat of the Katsu
Yes.
trigger is what makes it strong.
Yes.
Whenever I'm
But then
playing
that's
against somebody,
also like. Go ahead.
whenever I'm playing Katsu and I'm like, Descendant for 3, and they're like, oh, well, I can't let you have this. And in reality, it doesn't matter if I have it or not. If you block this, that's just one less card that you're coming back to me on my turn. This means nothing. This literally is just 1 for 3.
Mhm.
And I'm just doing it to put combo into my graveyard. But they don't know that, and I have 3 cards in hand. And then the rest of my turn is going to be 100 win, 100 wins pass. And then it's just like, well, nothing happened here.
And it's
There
the
is
other
also
side of that
turns where
though is
that question matters, right?
No, I will never pop off on a turn in which blocks matter. Like, if you ever think that you can block out my turn, then I did
Oh,
I did
wow.
my turn
Yep.
incorrectly. If you watched any
It's-
games of me on stream, whenever I go off, it doesn't matter how you block, when you block. My turn is almost 100% chance. I mean, flesh bag, of course, but like that's
yeah. It's
but
the equivalent of like an Icelander's Strider turn. Like,
yeah,
she doesn't pop Striders unless she's going to lose the game or you're going to lose the game.
yeah,
Like,
That's kind of cool.
that's
Yeah.
the equivalent. The thing for the difference between Katsu and Zen is Zen's gonna have like slightly lower numbers on average and still have a pop off turn, but he
Yeah.
doesn't need his to hit, which is why he's better into the Victors and the Enigmas and maybe the Warriors a little bit.
I agree.
So he gets to play in different metas, albeit maybe a half step behind
Yes.
on average.
That is kind of cool.
But he has a different condition on his ability, which is he has to play blues.
Yeah.
He has
So
to
he
play
inherently
blue
has
100
weaker
wins.
turns.
Like
Blue
literally
100 wins, blue descendant.
Yeah, he's gonna have to play bad blue cards. Like he's
Yeah.
literally gonna have to play blue bonds if he plays the bonds package, or like the
Yep.
I know I've seen a lot of like the 3-6 split that everyone's talking about that Pudding played, which is
Yeah.
really good.
Frick.
Yeah, but which of course though, I mean you also get to balance it with Shuko because you get to play crappier cards, which gives Shuko value in the armor. So it's really an ebb and flow of things from Katsu.
Yes.
That
Like,
leads
I
to
think-
unpreventable, and then also you have worse blues, which is good too.
Yeah, so
That's interesting.
yeah, new sucks.
I think Katsu's blues do less for new than Zen's.
Yes, I would much rather be on
Oh.
Katsu into new.
Yeah.
Oh no, you stole my blue.
Blue whelming
Warmongers?
gust wave that doesn't have go again.
Yeah, it's like
Core combo.
yeah.
Yeah, any blue fluster fist. Oh no.
I'm trying to think. The best blue she could steal is like, I think it actually.
It's like a blue descendant if there's also a blue bonds. And even then that's still not good because she's not fetching
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. Like there is no good cards actually. Like I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it. Like she can take. I guess she can pot if she has like stilettos. She could go like gust wave into my blue bonds. My one of blue bonds into dishonor for 4.
Yeah, but what if
Yeah.
I'm really bad and then she can go blue surging strike into blue gust wave into blue bonds into blue
Then
dishonor.
you get dishonored.
Then you're getting dishonored.
That's really
But,
But
like-
at that point, you probably don't need your hero ability at that point anyways because there's
True.
no combo cards left in your
True.
deck.
But then like Zen also has like blue levels of enlightenment, and you're like, I don't want her to have that. But that is
Those better not be cited in.
Holy frick.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, so it's kind of like the card quality is worse in Zen, but you get the bonus of not needing an on hit. So it depends on how much armor you're expected to play in that meta. I think is what I would determine those two on.
And how much Enigma
Yeah,
as well.
I think they're both good in Nemo just purely because of Kadachi's.
Do you think Zen sides into Kadachis against Enigma?
I mean,
Maybe.
hold on. Let me look at Well, no. So his blues are all 2, 1,
Yeah,
1.
there aren't enough zeros, I think.
Yeah. Okay, he would have 8, 9 pitchable blues in the most recent
Yeah.
list that I've seen. So I don't think so.
Because cheese also don't count. So
Yeah. So once you
Oh,
transcend,
frick.
yeah. So once you transcend, because you're not trying to pitch these, you're trying to arsenal them
yeah,
and then play them from arsenal. So probably, probably not. I think that matchup's probably
seems
already good
difficult.
enough. Just going
Probably.
1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 5, 6, 5, 5, 4.
Yeah.
Whew.
Think so.
That's crazy.
I'm excited for Nats.
Me too.
I'm excited to watch Nats. I'm excited to sit on the couch and enjoy Nats.
I'm just excited. I'm just excited, guy. That's all. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go hang out with my wife. I'll give her a shout out. She's a good wife. She's
Yeah.
probably playing video games in there right now, waiting for me to get off this call. So thank you for having me, as always.
Heck yeah. Dude, always a pleasure to have you on. Yeah. Thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time.
Of course. Thank you, sir. Bye, guys.
Bye. All right, Kevin. I'm going to try. I had a topic I wanted to talk about and I've talked to you about. I'm going to actually try until I can pull somebody to like yell at me with it before I have that topic of conversation.
Sure.
Just because I feel like me and you are too close in the same opinion on it, or I have the opinion and you're like, yeah, sure, sounds good. And I'd rather like yell at somebody about it. So
Sure.
is there anything else you want to talk about?
Do we want to talk about the other game?
Yeah, let's talk about that like a little bit.
Okay.
So new story come out. Pixelborn. The Pixelborn TCG, that's what it's called, right?
I don't know.
Pixelborn,
I just know it as Pixelborn.
Yeah, Pixelborn is a platform where you can play a game called Lorcana. And it's very similar to Talishar for Flesh and Blood.
Yes.
Or
it is their Talishar.
Yeah, or like Magic Arena for Magic the Gathering, right? And
no, because like Talishar, all the cards are free.
Oh yes. Even like I mean, it's similar in the sense that they're the online platform, but it's not like that.
It is their Talishar.
It is their Talishar. Yeah. Lorcana is owned by Disney. Disney's big. Disney's big and they're in the game for money. They don't need brand recognition. They don't need to build anything. They have the empire built. And so eventually they got around to talking to the people who have been running Pixelborn for people to test the Lorcana game online. And Disney has requested Pixelborn to
cease and desist.
basically cease and desist. Or they're gonna punch them, I assume, right? Give them the old Mickey punch. So it's interesting. This is kind of what some people thought would happen to Talishar at some point, right? So like games like these do directly or indirectly cut into sales of TCGs.
To some amount, yes, but not necessarily a significant amount.
Yeah.
It's what percentage of the question is actually for that. What percentage of players play this and as a result buy no paper cards?
Yes.
Which
how do you calculate that?
If it's not actually that. It's what percentage of players play that and buy no instead of buying paper cards. It's not what percentage of players now play the client and wouldn't buy paper cards anyways. are choosing to do this instead of buying paper cards and don't play the paper as a result of this existing.
Yeah, so like me, for
It's like-
example, would not fall into that statistic because I would play Pixelborn and I would spend no money on Lorcana if it existed or not. Because
Same.
I'm not going to get into the game. I'm not interested in it. Actually, if anything, if I played Pixelborn enough and I got excited about something, maybe I get some precons and I just have them in my house. But there is a non-zero amount of people, I'd assume, that like they're just like, I would play in person at my local game store, but my local game store is like 45 minutes away. I don't feel like driving there every week. I don't love hanging out with all those guys. I could just play it online whenever I want my TCG fix.
That
And then
doesn't
you
sound
don't
like
buy the
someone who would
cards.
play in paper anyways if they didn't have
I guess so.
Pixelborn.
So,
like this is somebody who wants to like. It's somebody who lives down the street from their LGS and plays Magic there or Flesh and Blood there, and is choosing to just play Pixelborn because they don't want to go play with the Lorcana scene there.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, is that person still probably already going to go to the big events? They're going to go to the 1Ks, 2Ks, 5Ks that SCG has, or the challenge that just happened. Are they just going to go to that instead? Maybe. They're still buying in the same amount. Like, it honestly seems like the population of people who are playing Pixelborn instead of picking up the paper is very small.
Mm-hmm.
The other, like, I don't think it is non-zero, but I also think that the amount of people that got into the game, like, actually went to try the game in paper because they got to play it on Pixelborn first is much higher.
That's my assumption too, and obviously these aren't things that I feel like anyone can.
Numbers.
No one can quantify this, right? Because it's like, how do you get a general public's emotions in a game that direction, right? Like, how do you?
Yeah.
This is just our assumption based on the kinds of people that play TCGs and how they interact with them. Specifically, we're talking about people who engage in multiple TCGs but have a preferred one, right? So
Yes.
I play Flesh and Blood the most, very obviously, but I engage in Magic a little bit. I went to the pre-release for the first Lorcana set because Ridge signed me up without telling me, and I've played Digimon, I've played MetaZoo, I've played all the TCGs, but like the thing is, I definitely fall into the camp where like I wouldn't have bought anything Lorcana unless I got to play Pixelborn, because this is probably a me thing, but I wasn't interested in the concept of Lorcana. But it's those kind of people that play the game and they're like, oh, this feels like, I've heard people say this feels kind of like modern in Magic, where it's like, it's around that kind of power level. It does similar things.
Now it is, yeah.
Yeah. So,
because I heard very different things from the first set. But I've heard very good things since the third set. I've heard very good things.
I've heard a lot less because I've just stopped listening. But like now, I think there's zero incentive for me to play the game at all. Right? Like, I'm not even going to waste time online, which leads me to not interacting with the product at all.
Like, I've thought about going back and trying it since I heard that like set 3 was pretty good and like made the game really interesting. And I thought about going back and trying it, and now I just don't want to. It's I'm like, oh, I can't try anything on Pixelborn first before I drop $500 on a deck. Nah.
The Star Wars TCG, when someone told me to play Star Wars Unlimited, I was like, no. I understand the company who makes the game. They drop games after 1 year, and this game also it had a couple of mechanics in it, like the 2 zones I was not interested in. Initially, I was like, very initially, before I really understood how the game worked, drawing 2 cards a turn I didn't like. I hated the combat.
Yeah. I told you about the combat, and you had a visceral reaction.
I hate the concept of attacker priority combat. I think it's like, it's so antiquated. It's just bad. It's just not good.
Generally, yes.
And also persistent damage. This is 2024, the year of our Lord. We should not be having to keep track of damage counters on our cards anymore. Holy
I have
frick.
a deck box full of dice just for Star Wars.
I hate that so much. And yet, I think it was also probably Ridge. I think it was a couple of people saying, bro, you got to check this game out. No, it wasn't Ridge. And I went on Felt Table. Felt Table allows you to play against a bot. And I played a few games against a bot with, I think I played an aggro deck, and then I played a more like mid-range control-y deck. And I was like, I see where the decision points are. I see where the interaction is.
Mm-hmm.
And the back and forth pacing of the game, it reminded me of
Mhm.
Legends of Runeterra. It reminded me
Yep.
of Hearthstone, and actually the better parts of Hearthstone that I enjoy.
Yes.
And then also the combat, which, I mean, the combat was fine. I thought actually was really interesting is one of the first games I played against a person, again, online, but through Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah.
One of the first times I played the game, it was interesting because they didn't realize the pros and cons of attacker priority combat. And so
Yeah.
at one point, I was just like, I can race you. I only attack your face. And they had nothing they could do about it. Or rather, they didn't realize until it was way too late, right? They were like,
Yep.
I'm going to play my bomb card instead of play my brick. Stop hitting me in the face card. Removal, or I think they had
Sentinel.
they had a Sentinel that they decided to turn into resources instead of doing anything because it was below rate, even though it would have saved them the game.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I would not have gotten into the game at all. What I ended up doing was I bought a pre-release kit. I bought a pre-release kit, and I ended up playing mini games with a couple of people. And I feel like when this next set comes out, I might buy another one too. And this all stemmed from me playing it online. Otherwise, I had a lot of preconceived notions about how the game worked because I've seen other games.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way this works. This is bad, and the company's not going to do it a good service. And
meanwhile, the company also has it planned out to set 7.
It's insane. It's actually really good. So that's why it's upsetting to see Pixelborn getting shut down. Not because I care about Lorcana, because I specifically go out of my way to not care about Lorcana. But it's upsetting.
Online clients, even community-made ones, are net positive for the game, even if you feel like you're losing money.
Yeah.
The only reason to shut down a community-made client, online client, is if you are going to release one yourself.
I also think
that's it.
The more I think about it, and I've thought about this for a while, is I think this might be controversial, and I am probably shooting myself in the foot by saying this. I think it's fine to shut down draft websites. Now, they're going to find ways to draft online anyways if they want to.
Yeah.
But a large part of the sales in a card game is obviously the packs.
It's the sealed product.
It's the sealed product.
Which
and
is
that's
draft.
Also what LGSs make some of the most money out of in a TCG, right? We have TCGs.
They need to move sealed product because this is something that Blade has had issues moving sealed product.
Yes.
Because as players, as competitively oriented players, we primarily buy singles. And then when we go to armories, people don't want to draft all the time. We draft maybe the first 2 weeks of any given draft set, and that's it. So then they don't move product for 90% of the year.
Yeah.
And so what happens if nobody's drafting? But we weren't replacing those drafts with online drafts. We just weren't drafting. We haven't drafted heavy hitters since the PT.
Yeah.
And I know that Runaway server had not had a draft fire since the PT.
Right.
They're not replacing the weekly drafts.
Yeah.
With whatever they're doing.
Which is why draft is the most important part of any TCG, and it should be the focus for LSS going forward. I've started to get more and more vocal about this. And I think I'm going to get even more violent about this. Is I think TCGs live and die on their drafts in some extent, most extent, right? I mean, you have to have a good draft to push product.
Yes, because you're only going to get players opening so much product.
Yes,
and you're only going to get collectors opening so much product.
Well, I mean, I guess some games could try to do that, like MetaZoo, but when the whole game is centered around tailoring to, or when the whole draft or if the whole pack concept is tailored around collectors, I don't think that bodes well for the quality of the constructed game.
I
Probably.
think you can be fine on the. Probably. Like it depends on what size your packs are. Because if it's Modern Horizon 3, then you can probably do both collectors and constructed.
Yeah.
Because you're building a set to do that. But if you're like, if Flesh and Blood were to do it, it'd be like 5-card packs. It'd be the gold packs.
Yeah.
And that's what the legendaries would be in. That's yada, yada, yada. Like all the Marvels would be in gold packs and stuff like that. Like all the Marvels, not just the Enigma one. Like,
I wonder how much they're going to attribute sales of cases to gold packs. LSS. Or if the same people would have bought similar amount of cases.
You can probably compare that reasonably to heavy hitters and bright lights, I would think.
Okay.
I mean, like, there's going to be a general trend, but you would compare that to, like, what's the increase in player attendance? What's the increase in single sales? Like, how much is that Enigma going for compared to, say, Shiana or Emperor? Like, that's going to play a part.
Or
I
Prism
imagine
and
they
Chain.
haven't. Or Prism Chain. Because, like, then also you look at, like, Dusk Till Dawn sales, and I'm pretty sure that was a supplemental set that sold very well because of the Prism and Chain cards.
I don't know if we can confirm that. I don't actually. I have no knowledge about that at all.
There was a lot of Dusk Till Dawn opened.
That's crazy.
There was a lot.
Not in my household, and
well, yeah, you don't buy sealed product.
Not even that locally either, because like that I'm aware of. Normally, people are just
3 cases. Yeah,
you can't draft it.
I know.
Jeez, you're all animals, every single one of you.
I opened 3 cases. Mara opened a case.
God dang.
And then other people I know opened sealed product.
Oh, did you see? I got to actually see one of the chains in person, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, at Richmond.
That was awesome. That guy was cool too.
I was there. Yeah, I was with you as he was trying to sell it to the SCG booth.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Holy small world.
I was standing there.
Wow, who would have guessed?
Yeah, like it's
frick.
I mean, it's definitely not going to hurt their sealed product sales, which is also going to be good for the players market because it means we're going to have more of the singles available, which means prices will be lower. I think you'll see the same amount of sealed products sold to players roughly. Stores are going to be probably more willing to open a little bit more product, especially after heavy hitters. All the prices went up on everything again. All the legendaries are back into the 40, 50, 70 range, 120 for balance.
I hate to be saying it, but like kind of thank goodness, because it was concerning seeing some legendaries drop to 10.
Yeah. Almost all the Outsiders legendaries were sub 10.
That was insane.
And some of the Bright Lights ones were as well. Like, I bought 7 Vambraces at $7.
We talked about that. That's crazy.
That's how cheap Vambrace had got.
Jeez.
I sold them for 18.
So to go back around, Pixelgarn getting shut down, I think we both agree was probably not a wise move, though we can kind of understand maybe where a business like that would get that idea.
So unless I think it is a net negative for the community that is shut down if they don't introduce their own client.
You think they're coming out with their own client is why it's being shut down?
I think they're big enough to, and I think that would be the reason to do it now.
Disney's like, I see that Hasbro is like, you know, that meme that's been floating around where it's just a bunch of blocks and it's like one tiny one and it says this is whatever. Well, it's like Hasbro is being held up by specifically only Arena. I could see Disney being like, man, I want one of those blocks in our companies. Yeah.
The other piece of it is copyright infringement because it is a product that they did not give you permission to use the art like this.
True.
That's it. Even if you are not inherently profiting off of it.
It's like setting a
If you're
precedent.
if you're running a Patreon for it as well, then
Yeah, holy
that's
frick.
instantly, you have to be immensely careful. And I'm pretty sure the Talishar went through that whole issue and like worked it out with LSS to keep running it, because LSS doesn't want an official online client.
Yeah.
And LSS had stipulations for them continuing to do it. I would guess there was a Patreon being run for Pixelborn, because that's how these sites work. That's how they survive. And then at that point, you are having a revenue off of it, and then it's also copyright issues. So it's very easy for a company to come in and claim that, because
Pixelborn has a Patreon and it's still up.
Yeah.
It says they're pulling in $10,000 a month, and there's no freaking way.
Lorcana's bigger than Flesh and Blood.
God dang.
Lorcana had their first callings.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Pixel Bit. The Pixel Against or something.
Ink Fight. Lorcana had their first calling size events this weekend, which I think were actually qualify only.
Oh, wow.
They might have actually been the equivalent of PTs.
Whoa.
They had one in France, in Lille, and one in Atlanta, and they were both 2,000 plus players.
God dang.
So bigger than any Flesh and Blood event ever, I'm pretty sure.
Ow.
By a factor of 2.
Well, we can say
the game is pretty big.
We can
it's
say
doing
we have
pretty
the
well.
moral, ethical.
I am much happier with this company.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that company stepped in and said, "Hey, copyright infringement." The comparison that was made was AI art.
That was
someone
else's
an
interesting comparison. It's not wrong.
It's not It's not totally off.
It feels like
it's
a stretch.
Not perfect.
It feels like a stretch, but
the concept is there that you are taking something and doing something with it. You do not have permission. You're taking someone's art and doing something with it that they have not given you permission to do.
Except for we as an American society have not fully ironed out what, is and isn't ethical, legal with AI art, kind of. So it's hard to use that as a comparison anyways.
Sure. But I think a lot of the TCG community overlaps with the art community.
That's true.
Or with like an underground quote unquote art community, and not the mainstream art gallery art community.
Yeah.
But like, those are the artists who are going to take that very personally, because this is their paycheck. This is how they eat day to day. So like, we as a community have a very strong opinion.
Good point. Yeah.
On that.
That does kind of explain where that came from and why it resonated with so many people.
Even if the larger culture doesn't, or American culture, or the American legal system doesn't, our community does.
Yeah, we quote unquote have an opinion on that. Generally.
Yes.
Which I guess
we are more opinionated on it. But
I don't know.
Talishar had similar issues. LSS handled it differently. Talishar also had conditions put on it. And Disney just kind of said, "No, we're not going to deal with that. You're making $120,000 a year off that."
Yeah. Frick.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there's an official Lorcana client announced in the next month, or released in the next 6 months as a result. Because honestly, I kind of wanted to go back and try it again after I heard it gotten better. Because like,
I didn't.
It made some choices in TCGs that I kind of liked, with like the resource system and stuff like that. But then Star Wars just did it better.
I was about to say, you say that,
Star Wars
but
did
like
all those choices better.
Yeah, because it's like,
yes, 100%.
When I sat down and I like inked something, and they were like, "You got to show it to me," and I was like, "Why?" And they're just like, "Well, it's because." I mean, not that I won't do it, but here you can see it. It's just like, does it matter? I mean, are we keeping track of the cards we're using? It's like, no, it's because some cards can't be inked. And I was like, okay, then can I go back and look at the cards that you have inked every once? No, if I put it face down, then it's face down. It's like, frick.
Yeah.
I hated
that. I think Lorcana was interesting to me because I played Duel Masters way back when I was younger.
Oh, wow.
And so they had a similar system where it's like a card goes from your hand into your resource pool. every turn, and that was it. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That's better than lands,
Yeah.
where it has to be this.
And it also is another decision point, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it was also a decision point in deck building, which was interesting.
Oh,
How
that's
many
true.
inkables versus not?
Yeah.
And then I played Star Wars, and I'm like, oh,
this is what I wanted.
This is what I wanted.
This is what I wanted.
They did it better.
I want to see
So,
a
like,
game do the same thing with the Digimon card game. Have you played that any?
I have not. I'm loosely familiar with the mechanics of like the way resources go back and forth.
Its resource system, I think, is genuinely fun. I think it's overarching gameplay is flavorful, but not super fun. Like, it feels like you're playing Digimon, which is kind of neat.
Sure.
But at the same time, you're like,
I don't want a TCG of that.
maybe, like, I do want a TCG, but it's like, how do you make that? And it's like, maybe you don't. I don't know.
It didn't. Huh.
It was all right.
That sounds like Pokemon.
Kinda, honestly.
Where it's like the Pokemon TCG and the video game feel wildly different.
Oh, they are. And it's like the few similarities are the characters on the cards sometimes, and the fact that you can have 6 of them. Kind of.
Sort of. Sometimes.
It's, I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that's it to wrap it up.
Yep.
LSS announced that they are going to be trying for, I don't know if they just said that they're trying to get it done. They didn't say when necessarily, but they want a set to be paper packs in Japanese too. I found that exciting because at this point, if I pick up a plastic pack, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it feels a little off.
Yeah. So exciting to see that, and I hope. I don't think I've heard anything. I don't remember if this was a thing in Heavy Hitters or not, but I remember was it Bright Lights or what set was it where it felt like Japanese and Belgian packs just had different cards in different ways. When
it was Outsiders.
Was that Outsiders? I guess that was a while ago. Oh my gosh.
Because Belgian packs, you could have 3 rares or 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And then Japanese was always 2.
Have we had that problem since Outsiders?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But they didn't try for a weird collation.
Okay.
Like that since then. Because they were trying to do stuff with the hybrid cards. And for Heavy Hitters, they just said, nope, 3 hybrid cards, that's it. We're not going to mess with it. It's always 3 hybrid cards. There's no rares in there.
Maybe
Japanese packs can't do it.
Maybe they just understand that as a limitation going forward. But okay, well, if that not being a worry anymore, and then also paper packs, that's going to be exciting for me, in my opinion. Because again, a better draft format, a better game. So
yes, I think Fab is held back by Fab is held back by its draft format and the limitations that like we talked about from previous sets. Like,
I was gonna talk to.
It steers me away from that.
I was gonna talk about because also I think originally Taylor was gonna come on and talk about and I guess we did a little bit 8-pack sealed.
Sure.
But as part of that, one of my pushbacks was, and maybe we'll get to it next time, but 8-packs is. It just costs more. Like 8-pack sealed just costs more.
Sure.
That's a limitation for like a newer player. Oh, the draft format's $40? Like I could see that being somebody's response.
So sure, sealed is 40 instead of 30.
Yeah.
Sure. Draft is still 15.
I guess that's true. But you have to buy packs or sleeves. You have to buy sleeves.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't consider that an actual new player limitation.
Is that not? Because I mean, the idea of just having $15, sitting down and doing a draft with cards, like you have nothing in your collection at all. You don't have a collection. You just sit down to do the draft. It's $15. That's like very accessible. But if you have to have sleeves,
you get 1 pack of sleeves that then, if you don't want to play the game, your friend can just buy off you, and I'd be fine doing that. Like if I was introducing friends to a game, I would be bringing sleeves for them.
That makes sense. I should have done that. I should have done that. Oh, go ahead.
because there's two ways that people get into this game, really, which is you're introduced by a friend, which means your friend probably has extra sleeves to bring you. I probably would. I know I did when I brought cards down to teach a friend how to play like 2 weekends ago. The other is you're already in the store playing TCGs and you want to try this game, in which case you have sleeves.
Which one was you?
I had a friend introduce me to the game.
Oh, wow. I guess it does kind of happen that way.
I bought in all my stuff because they were in Richmond and I was in Roanoke.
Makes sense.
So I just bought in all my stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the way
so I guess
that's like the primary ways you get into this game.
I guess to wrap this up, I should have just brought sleeves for Ridge because it seems like he's getting back into the game as a new player. He played the draft format. And it was funny. He's like, this is the best Flesh and Blood I have played since Outsiders. I have not played since Outsiders.
Yeah.
after having a kid. But I think he's coming to. Well, I guess I should bug him about that. I think he's coming to the draft we're gonna do Sunday. So that's gonna be exciting. I think Josh went to the sealed and he had so much fun at the sealed, he's probably gonna show up for draft. And Mara was goading him the whole time into like playing Flesh and Blood, and it was great. So I think that's gonna wrap it up.
She's just obnoxious about it.
Yeah. Kevin, do you have any shout outs?
Patreon, Pitfight Mondays, UPF Mondays.
Yeah, we're gonna have Ultimate Pitfight Monday. Patreon, obviously, it's what keeps this channel chugging, right? Like we were able to get the first video that we're actually going to use them in, we got lights. We got some really nice lights, and the first video we used them on was not for this channel. We recorded a video for Greg where we played a game that is not announced yet, I don't think. So we got to record using those lights, and they look nice. I think we'll see how it looks. The problem is, I think the next thing we need to upgrade is for in-person is the cameras, and that's what Patreon's going to be going towards next. We really appreciate all the people on Patreon for that. And actually, the subscribers on Twitch. You can subscribe on Twitch using the ways that you subscribe on Twitch. Dude, we've gotten $10 this month. Let's freaking go. So it's very exciting. Including like 26 cents worth of ads.
Dope.
So
5 more months.
Yeah.
Till it pays out.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for watching. We'll have webcam UPF on Monday. Bye.